Hello, this is a video recorded as a summer reading program for the Spartanburg County Public Libraries. My name is Rachel, and if you live in Spartanburg, I am your local government documents librarian. Now, if you watched the last video, you learned that a government document is any book, pamphlet, or poster published by a state or federal branch of the United States government. Here at the Spartanburg Libraries, we have a small collection of them, which you are free to read, browse, or check out anytime that you like. Now, if you've ever looked for a government document yourself, you might have gotten a little confused because they have weird call numbers. And you may or may not know what a call number is. Essentially, a call number is just simply a code that a library uses to organize their books so that we know where they are. As an example, this book right here in our adult nonfiction section, How Technology Works, has a label on the spine. I'll be putting that up in the corner so that it's a little bigger for you, but it says 600 HOW. That's an example of a call number in the Dewey Decimal System. I'm going to talk about the Dewey Decimal System a bit. It is one of the most common kinds of classification systems that a library uses to organize their nonfiction books. It comes in two parts. The first part is a number. It can be any number from 0 to 999. The second part is usually a name or a word. The numbers are the most important part. That one that's 600 right here. The number indicates a subject. For example, this very basic 600 How Technology Works is a really broad subject. If we get into a more specific subject, for example, how to repair a Honda Civic made in the years 2001 to 2006, we can end up with a call number like 629.28722 Honda. Now that can be both helpful for us and a little confusing for you, I have to admit. As long and complicated as that, but again, the specificity lets us organize subjects right next to each other. If you looked for a government document, however, you would be faced with a call number like D1.6/2:W 19/2013. What does that mean in the Dewey Decimal Classification System? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. It isn't in the Dewey Decimal Classification System. That is a Superintendent of Documents number, also called SuDocs. And this is our only collection that is organized in the SuDocs system. Now, why is that? That's because the SuDocs system was tailor-made for these government documents and just for them. I'm going to describe SuDocs a little. I promise it's only going to be the basics and it should be easy to follow along with. SuDocs was tailor-made for government documents to make sense for this collection. It is a provenance system, which means it's a system that organizes documents by who published them. That makes sense in this case because, as you recall, government documents are printed by different branches of the government. It is therefore de facto a system which sorts by subject because, again, since they're published by different branches of the government, they only publish things that are related to their jurisdiction. The Department of Health only publishes things about health. The Department of Transportation only publishes things about transportation. And the Department of Defense, which published this publication here, only publishes things about war or defense. Let me break down the sections of this number a little bit. The most important thing is the first letter, in this case a D. That stands for Department of Defense. D is for defense. One of the things that is actually very easy about SuDocs is that the first letter brings you halfway there. D stands for defense, T stands for transportation, H stands for health. If you know that, you can already get to the subject that you want very quickly. The numbers following the D give us a little more specific information about the subject of this material. Just like specific Dewey numbers mean a more specific subject matter, the numbers directly following that first letter narrows the subject here. SuDoc call numbers have two halves. There is the cutter number, which is the first half, in this case D1.6/2, which is the publication information, and the book number, which is everything following the colon. Now the cutter number, once again the D1.6, etc., gives us information about who published it. Usually it's a subcommittee of the broader defense committee. The other half, the book number, is simply a code that signifies this exact book in their system. You don't really have to know what the book number means. In fact, I don't know what the book number means. I can tell you that 2013 means this one was published in 2013, but the rest of it are simply letters and numbers that tell the Department of Defense which book this is. If you're looking for something in the system, knowing the first half of it, the cutter number is more than enough. Now, if you're trying to find something on our shelf, for example, you saw this in our public catalog and said, yep, I want to check out that book. It is not nearly so difficult to find it as that long number makes it seem like it is. The thing that makes SuDocs easy to navigate is that you simply go piece by piece, starting at the top and following 3 simple rules to figure out where it is in the section. The first rule is that nothing comes before something. I know that sounds a little confusing, so let me break it down. If, for example, there were 2 books in the section, and one was simply labeled D, and the other was labeled D 1.6, etc., the one simply labeled D would come first. Nothing, blank space, comes before something, extra details. Just like with these two, 600 comes before the more complicated number. And the second rule is years, letters, numbers. Once again, that's simpler than it sounds. In the organization of these, a year, like 2013, would come before letters, A, B, C, which would come before numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's just an organizational rule. If we've gotten to the book section and there's a year, that's going to come before something that starts with a letter, and that's going to come before something that starts with a number. The third rule is that numbers count up. And you might not believe me, but that can be the hardest rule for our librarians here to follow, because we are so used to the Dewey Decimal System. However, with SuDocs, numbers count up just like regular numbers. 1 is before 2, 2 is before 3, 2 is before 4, etc. It's not decimal. The numbers simply count up intuitively. So, if you were looking for emergency war surgery on the self, you would simply follow those rules, starting with the D, alphabetical, the numbers, they count up. You go piece by piece, section by section, stopping every time you see a colon or a slash. The number is long and it looks complicated, but as long as you remember to go section by section, to count up, to go years, then letters, then numbers, that nothing comes before something, you'll be able to find your way. And the thing that makes it really easy, the thing that I assure you will make it easy to navigate SuDocs here at the Spartanburg Libraries, is that the section is not that big. And if you know that first letter, you are already halfway there. The other thing you have in your toolkit is that we are always happy to help you find something. You're free to try to find some materials by yourself. In fact, I encourage it because it can be a fun exercise. But if you need a little help, or if you just want someone to walk you through it the first time, we are always there at the desk, happy to help you. All right, and I hope we see you folks in soon.